Hey, by the Stitch 1993. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Movies That We Own, where me and my wife, Shelby,
Hi, everyone.
talk about the over 1,300 movies we own on DVD and Blu-ray. If this is your first time here, the genres that we have talked about so far have been action-adventure, animation, documentary, drama, our Disney movie collection, our Halloween and horror movies, holiday and Christmas movies, and comedy. And I'm probably forgetting another one.
Did you mention Criterion?
Criterion. And we just finished, last episode was part 2, which was our last episode for our fantasy collection. So now we're going to be talking about, for probably almost the rest of the year,
Probably.
the musical collection. And whereas fantasy was mostly a me genre, musicals is mostly a Shelby genre. I did grow up with a certain amount of musicals, but I'll let Shelby explain it in a bit more why we have so many. But yeah, this is just me and Shelby talking about our thoughts on these movies, both our likes and dislikes. And, if there's one we don't talk about in this video, we do talk about them in alphabetical order. So if we don't talk about it here, it's either we either don't own it, we just both don't like it, so we don't see the reason to own it, or we don't have it, or, it's going to be later down the alphabet there. So, before we start talking about the movies, I'll let Shelby kind of give a little bit of history onto why we own so many musical movies.
So, when I was young, I was completely obsessed with musicals. I'd watch pretty much anyone I can get my hands on. The first one I remember watching when I was young was Fiddler on the Roof, and we will get to that one later. It is one we both love. My mom grew up with musicals. She's kind of the one that introduced it to me. My dad, who is, for the most part, just your usual rough and tumble Southern dude, will still sit down and watch musicals with me. And then when I hit high school, I started doing theater. I grew up in choir, so musicals have always been a really big part of my life, and it's continued into my adulthood.
All right. So, starting with the first movie, I'm going to let you introduce most of these. So, what are we starting with?
The first one we're starting with is the West End revival. I believe it's a revival of 42nd Street.
Okay.
This was filmed live on stage. A chunk of these will be a recording of a live performance.
You want to explain what a pro shot is really quick?
A pro shot is a recording of a live theatrical performance that is then released into theaters or online or onto home media or a combination of all three. The most popular one to date is Hamilton on Disney+. Mm-hmm. Disney Plus also has several other great live performances to watch, and it is something I encourage anyone to go and check out, are the pro shots you can get your hands on, because for a lot of people that is the closest you will get to a live theatrical performance.
Yep. Second closest is a lot of, if you have like AMC or Regal, you'll probably see commercials before movies about Fathom events. Those typically are going to be the pro shots you can watch in theaters. You'll see maybe a poster or two, and those do eventually also come out on DVD and Blu-ray, sometimes a couple months or a couple years depending on the rights, after it's been released in theaters there. So if it's one when we later down the line, if there's one currently in theaters and we don't talk about it, it's probably because it hasn't been released yet on DVD.
We probably will not get to Hadestown before it has come out, because that was just recently announced to be coming out this summer in theaters here. It is, I believe, already has been released in the UK.
Yep, and just to give you an idea, Merrily We Roll Along was released in theaters back in December.
Yes.
And it just came out on DVD this month.
Yes, it did.
So, if it's releasing this summer, if it's going, the same track record, it probably will get a Halloween or Christmas release date for the physical media, which means we'll definitely won't be talking about it yet.
If it does come out while we're still talking about musicals, we'll tack it on at the end.
Sure.
just because Hadestown is such a huge deal in the theater world because it's a fantastic show.
But back to 42nd Street.
All right, so 42nd Street follows Broadway director Julian Marsh as he's producing a new musical called Pretty Lady during the Great Depression. Great Depression was not a great era for musicals because nobody had money to go see them. So when his current star, who is also the girlfriend, I believe she's just a girlfriend of the person supplying the money for the show, the producer for the show, breaks her ankle, they then turn to a very talented, brand new chorus girl named Peggy Sawyer to take her place. From that point on, the show is mostly just about her struggling with the pressures of getting ready to star in a show on very short notice. There are some romantic overtones in it, but it's not too much. It's more about the production of a show.
It's like a dramedy.
More heavy on the comedy than the drama, though.
Yeah, but it's definitely not a love heavy plot from what I recall.
It is closer. It's like a more comedic chorus line, in my opinion.
Which we'll get to in a bit.
We will. Where the show really is more about the production of a Broadway musical. Yeah. And I do love those kind of behind-the-scenes musicals, so that's why it's so fun for me. And this one, it is based off of a 1930s, 1940s movie, and it plucks a couple songs from there and a couple songs from a couple different movies of that era to create the stage production. The sets are fantastic. Everything's nice and bright and colorful. Everyone kind of looks like they're dressed for Easter, and it's really fun. Choreography is on point. Everything is fantastic. There's a lot of really great tap numbers in this, so if you like tap, this would be a great one for you to watch. It is the UK, the West End cast, so it doesn't really have any actors that I recognize off the top of my head, but everyone gave a fantastic performance.
Yeah, we just recently watched this one, and it's coming from, and most of my opinions are going to be, from a person that just is like I'm not...
You're a layperson.
I'm a layperson, or like, I do enjoy musicals, but I'm not really a fan of musicals, if that makes sense. So if you're like me, this is probably the opinion you'll probably sway you either way. This is one I honestly, other than some of the sets, can remember a song in there. They're honestly kind of forgetful, in my opinion.
I will agree there. This is one to watch for the choreography and the sets.
And it feels like it was just like this one was, one of those like, well, the movie had some music in it, so let's make it a musical kind of thing. When it's just like, did we really need to make it a musical? I don't think we did. Honestly, this would have worked just as well if they just wanted to remake the movie in general, but I digress on that. It was okay.
Also, take in mind, the stage production of this was originally made in the 80s, so it is a little bit more fluffy than a lot of more modern musicals. Like, if the book for this was made today, it probably would punch up a little more of the dramatic moments and add a few more show-stopping songs that would be more memorable.
Yeah.
But this show did originate from the 80s, where if you weren't trying to emulate Andrew Lloyd Webber, you were trying to be the exact opposite of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, and it did a good job of doing that.
Being the opposite. It's like nowhere near Phantom or Cats.
Yeah.
So next on our list is Across the Universe. This one I remember watching in school, and it stars Evan Rachel Wood as Lucy, Jim Sturgis as Jude, Joe Anderson as Max, Dana Fuchs as Sadie, Martin Luther as Jojo, and TV Caprio as Prudence. It's a jukebox musical based on the Beatles songbook. It's got, I think, 30 plus different Beatles numbers in there, set to the backdrop of the anti-war movement in the U.S. during the Vietnam War. The movie is predominantly in the U.S. There are bits of it in Liverpool and bits of it in Vietnam. You're following Jude and Lucy's love story as Lucy's becoming more radicalized through the events of her high school boyfriend dying in boot camp and her brother being drafted. Her brother originally was at an Ivy League school. He decided to drop out, and that made him eligible for the draft, which is why he gets looped into all of this. And then also you are meeting the friends they make along the way kind of storyline. It has some very trippy moments, some very emotional moments. I still personally cry every time I even hear this movie's version of Let It Be.
Yep. So this came out when we were in high school, and I remember seeing the trailers all like not.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere. It was really big, and I remember we didn't see it in theaters because this was just during a time we didn't really go to see a lot of movies in theaters. But as soon as it came out on DVD, we did rent it from Blockbuster, and yeah, we bought the soundtrack probably the very next day, like the actual CD. I think I still have my copy in my CD collection there. But yeah, so just like Shelby, some of these renditions of some of the Beatles songs are honestly better than the originals. That I know that may be, I don't know. For some Beatles fans, that just be like blasphemy. But I mean, but really, just some of them.
Some of them are fantastic.
Some are really, really good. The acting is really good. I do like some of these. Some of the songs are filmed as if they were like a music video, which is just kind of really cool. The couple that come to mind is like
Come Together.
For the Benefit of Mr. Kite, and what's the one about again?
Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Happiness is a Warm Gun. Those I really feel like they were influenced by music videos of the time in past decades from MTV.
Even the opening, they open with at the time the classic Sad Boy on the Beach, and they open that way with Girl, and Jim Sturgis does that so well it hooks you from the beginning.
Also, the I Just Met a Face.
I Just Saw a Face.
I Just Saw a Face. That was another one that felt
That's
really
the bowling scene.
Bowling scene, yeah. Very well choreographed for the ones that do have choreography in them. There's some songs where, as some of these songs are better, some of these, they try to really, like, change the genre of the song. Like Helter Skelter, if you've heard the original of that, it's very poppy. It's a very pop type of song, and they really try to make it like this heavy metal rock song, which just doesn't fit. Like, I get it, they had to have a song for the rock singer to sing, but I'm like, they do have actual rock songs in their discography that they could have used. Like, they don't use Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, and that would have been like the perfect place to use it. But I digress.
One of the things I do really appreciate about this movie, though, is there are, especially with Sadie and JoJo, they are clearly meant to be their versions of Janis Joplin.
Oh, yeah.
And, name just escaped me. Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix, yep. Mm-hmm.
And they do it so well.
They do.
And it's, especially with JoJo, like, kind of, just his whole character. I really, like, enjoyed watching him from start to finish. Because you meet him at, like, the lowest point of his life. You meet him right during Let It Be, which is when his younger brother dies.
Yeah.
So it's just, the whole movie is fantastic. I understand a lot of Beatles fans don't enjoy it, but also as a Beatles fan, I love it.
Right.
I know Helter Skelter was the standout for you for not quite fitting. For me, it was Bono singing I Am the Walrus.
That's
that
fair.
one just didn't fit right for me. And then
To
he's
be
only
fair,
in the one scene.
To be fair, it's
Bono. You can tell how we feel about him. But I definitely encourage people to watch Across the Universe because it's trippy from about midway through to the end. The beginning isn't really all that trippy, but they're setting everything up, and it is a lot of their softer songs to get you started.
Once he moves in with
Sadie,
that's where it really starts. Because that's when they start experimenting with everything.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got An American in Paris, which I've seen before.
You have.
And I probably have seen it a couple times. I just don't really remember it all that well.
It is a classic Gershwin musical about Jerry Mulligan, who is an ex-GI, who is now an artist in Paris. He ends up getting basically sponsored by this rich lady who's also interested in him romantically, but he's not really into her. as he falls in love with a French woman named Lisa, who is engaged to his best friend's best friend.
Yeah.
So there are some iffy situations there. I have more issue with Lisa than I do Jerry, because Jerry is pursuing her pretty heavily, but she does eventually say, yeah, we'll go on the date, knowing she is engaged to someone else.
Yeah.
She knows she's engaged to someone else. When Jerry finds out that she's engaged to someone else, he is absolutely heartbroken, because they have been seeing each other for, I believe, weeks at this point. He is completely head over heels for her. And he does back off. He also tries to pursue the rich lady who's into him as just kind of a gotcha kind of moment. Just like, I can get someone too. And that does sit kind of iffy on me, but what sells this movie is the 17-minute long ballet sequence at the end.
See, you're saying this, and like all I remember from this movie is like the water fountain scene, and that's it. Oh, and when he sells the paintings, and like one of them is like a really pretty painting. That's it. That's all I remember. I mean, Gene Kelly has been in more memorable films in my opinion.
He has. Gene Kelly really has, and we'll get to one of them later because we have it. But this one for me, it's another one that the choreography itself is worth watching, because when they're introducing you to Lisa before you even know who she's going to be, they have her current fiance describing her to his friends, and as he's describing her, they're showing her in like a ballet sequence, like personifying each different facet of her personality that he's bringing up, and that is honestly a really intriguing part of the movie. It's really pretty to look at. It's really well color coordinated. It scratches at the happy parts in my brain. This is definitely a movie of its time. I believe it came out in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
So it's definitely of its time.
Yeah.
But the choreography is absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're on Annie.
Alright, so we got a couple versions of Annie. We did talk about one back in our Disney collection, which was the 90s version.
Yes.
So this is the probably
80s.
one everybody knows. It's the 1982 version with Carol Burnett and Tim Curry in it. This was like one of, this is like classic musical that a lot of kids, this is probably a lot of kids either first musical they get introduced to or one of the very early ones there. I think for me this was like musical number 4 or 5 there. I was still pretty young when I got introduced to it.
Yeah, I was little.
Yeah. It is, if you've never heard of it, you've heard the songs. You've heard of The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, It's Hard Not Like, Easy Street. You've heard the songs. This is the musical those songs come from. That's it. I don't think I can really add anything to this that not everybody else has already said about this.
Yeah.
This is like a really great adaptation of the stage play.
It really is.
So,
this one is probably number 2 for me out of the 3 we own. And when I say number 2, I mean they're all like within a half step of each other.
Yeah.
This isn't like I love one, I tolerate the other, and I hate the third. They're all like really close together, and I don't know why, but for some reason with me, the linchpin on what's going to decide what my favorite one is depends solely on how much I like their rendition of Easy Street.
Yeah, that's fair. Which is why I like this one, because I'm like, it's Tim Curry.
See,
and Bernadette Peters.
I like this one, and I love Bernadette Peters, and I love Tim Curry. But there's something about the melding of Alan Cumming and that Mrs. Hannigan, Kathy Bates.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the melding of their voices together that just works more for me. So this one, it's all based on your own personal taste. There's no version that's actually truly better than the other. This one is the original. In terms of adaptations. Yeah. This one is fantastic. This is not one of those situations where if you tell me you prefer this one over my favorite, I'm going to, like, disagree with you. Like, everyone has their own opinions on it, and all the opinions are right. Again, plot-wise, everyone knows the story of Annie at this point. There's not really much that we can explain.
It's an orphan that gets not
Fostered.
adopted, but fostered by the richest man in New York.
During the Great Depression.
Yep, and she turns this very, you know, grumpy curmudgeon of a dude into a dude that is slightly less grumpy and slightly less curmudgeon-y.
The love of a child will do that.
Yeah, and then Tim Curry and Bernadette Peters' characters team up with Carol Burnett's character to try to trick Annie into, or trick Daddy Warbucks into giving them Annie because she's not even
He
really
offered a reward basically for people to come forward with information on Annie's parents. He basically wanted to make sure Annie was taken care of, but she was very determined to find her parents. So he wanted to.
Then we find out that her parents actually passed away a while ago, and there's a whole chase scene at the end, but then everything turns out right. So, yeah.
As a good musical is prone to do when it is aimed at kids.
I don't think there's a bad song in this musical.
There really isn't. Even when you go into just a straight-up stage show, I don't think there's a bad song in that either.
Yeah.
Which, going to the straight-up stage show, brings us to our next version of Annie. Annie Live from 2021. This is my least favorite of the three we own, but again, they're all very close together, and again, it came down to the rendition of Easy Street. I just think Titus Burgess, who was playing Rooster, could have sleazed it up a little more, and it would have just made it perfect.
I think this is my favorite version of Miss Hannigan, though.
Yes.
Like, Taraji P. Henson does a fantastic job.
She was the best Mrs. Hannigan. And Harry Connick Jr., controversial opinion, best Daddy Warbucks. It's Harry Connick Jr. He's got the voice of an angel.
I remember who was the version in the 90s.
The 90s one was Victor Garber.
Oh, the Cinderella dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love him too, but
fine.
it's Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the next time they do an adaptation of Annie, it's going to be like another 10, 20 years, and it's going to be Josh Groban.
I can see Groban or Mr. Bubbles.
Yeah. I'm leaning more towards Groban, though, because he does theater.
He does.
But this has Harry Connick Jr. as Daddy Warbucks, Nicole Scherzinger as Grace, Titus Burgess as Rooster, Megan Hilty as Lily St. James, and Selena Smith as Annie, and Taraji P. Henson as Miss Hannigan. Selena Smith as Annie was the most adorable little Annie I have ever seen.
All the orphan kids were adorable. I mean, all the orphan kids in every rendition are adorable. But these were just cute because they're doing it live on top of, having to...
There was no room for mistakes.
Yeah.
And none of them made one.
They did great.
They were fantastic. I just remember every scene, especially if multiple orphans were in it, just hands on my cheeks, just loving it. They were so cute. And that's what you want when you go see Annie. You want to just be... your heart to just be lifted because of how cute they are. This is a fantastic adaptation. I watch this a couple times a year. On to something completely different. But yet still related to Annie. Now we have Annie Get Your Gun. This is the 1960s version?
50s.
1950s, wow. Literally 1950.
Which makes so much sense for a scene that we're going to get to in a bit.
You have to remember, if you watch this movie, it came out in 1950, and sensibilities were so different.
Yeah.
So this is a fictionalized version of the life of Annie Oakley, a sharpshooter from the Wild West, who ended up in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, and her romance with another sharpshooter named Frank Butler. That is the whole gist of the show, and arguably the most famous song from the show is Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better, which also probably is the least problematic song in the entire show.
I want to argue that there's two iconic songs depending on what you're...
Yeah.
What you're introduced to. Yes, Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better is iconic. But I feel that they've used There's No Business Like Show Business in so many montages of film stuff.
They have.
So that I would include it as...
I would, but the reason I put Anything You Could Do, I Could Do Better above it is because they've literally used that base of a song to make commercials out of.
True.
So that's why I think that's the more iconic one, because that's the one that's going to get stuck in your head during commercials as well.
She says, as I have There's No Business Like Show Business stuck in my head right now. So,
so this one stars Betty Hutton as Annie Oakley and Howard Keel as Frank Butler. They do a good job. It is a well-made movie.
Yeah.
There are certain numbers in it that do not stand up, and I'm looking at I'm an Indian now.
Yeah.
Or I'm an Indian too.
Honestly, just go see, like, there's a, what's the 80s version or 90s version of this one, or a pro shot?
I don't think there's a pro shot. If there had been, I wish it would have been the Reba cast, because once they started doing revivals of this, they started changing the show around.
Yeah.
And there's two iconic Annies, one of which I have the soundtrack for, one of which they never released one for, and it's Bernadette Peters. We have that one.
That's the one I know.
And Reba McEntire, which I wish they had released that one.
Yeah.
The original stage show had Ethel Merman in it. Another fantastic one.
Who I remember. That's how I got introduced, was through Ethel Merman through Muppets.
This is one of those, if you want to watch a version of it, because I don't believe there's a pro shot of it, this might be your only option. If you don't want to watch a bootleg of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you can find a pro shot of it, let me know.
Yeah.
Not even just watch it. Let me know.
Down in the comments.
Also, if you have any pro shots that we don't list that would have fallen into this alphabetically, put it in the comments. I want to know.
Yeah. Speaking of pro shots.
This one you enjoyed a lot more than 42nd Street.
To be fair, this one had a lot of iconic songs in it that I recognize, and it has Sutton Foster.
This is Anything Goes. It's the 2021 pro shot, filmed again in the West End. You will notice a lot of these are at the West End or at the Lincoln Center. They don't usually shoot these on Broadway. Mm-hmm. So Anything Goes is about Billy, who is stowing away to chase after the love of his life, heiress Hope Harcourt, who is engaged to Evelyn Oakley, the nightclub singer Reno Sweeney, who Sutton Foster is playing, is helping Billy, along with Moonface Martin, who is public enemy number 13, which gets pointed out several times, and it's funny every time. They try to help him win back Hope before she is married off to save her family financially. This is another musical that takes place during the Great Depression. I don't know what it was about the Great Depression that made everybody want to write musicals, but they did, and it was fantastic.
I mean, when you're poor, you don't have anything else to do. Why not?
So the whole time they're trying to get Billy hooked back up with Hope, Reno and Evelyn are falling in love with each other, and Hope's mother is being pursued by Billy's boss. So hijinks ensue.
It's like it's not even a love triangle. This is like a love hexagon.
I mean, to be fair, Hope's mother and Billy's boss are not into anyone else but each other.
But still, there's like a whole bunch of love
It's
stories.
a love square. But it's fun, and it's fun in the chaos. Chaos ensues, as it always does in these. This is a Cole Porter musical, so he really likes the fun of it.
Mm-hmm. You can tell, too.
You can tell. And as Billy and Moonface get out of the clink on the boat, they then break up the wedding that's supposed to be happening between Hope and Evelyn, and then Billy marries Hope, Evelyn marries Reno, and then Hope and Billy's boss get together, and that saves the Harcourts from financial ruin. So everyone ends up happy. It's a happy ending all over the place, and this one has so many iconic songs. The one that always comes to mind for me is You're the Top. That one is it's also, I think, my favorite scene next to the title scene.
That's cute. Mm-hmm.
It's such a fun song. And then for Anything Goes, the actual song Anything Goes, there's a giant tap number in the middle of it. This is very heavy on the choreography as well, and it's all pretty. I believe you said you could have done without the Billy and Hope storyline.
Okay, so, yeah, they really do harp on all these. This is just going to be me for most of these. If it has a love story as the main plot of the movie, I'm just going to not really care. Because I just don't really get into romance stuff. For the most part, there's outliers, but honestly, the best part about the musical was
the hijinks.
was the hijinks, and mainly it's the gangster and his female assistant, which I forget her name.
Irma.
Oh my God,
I
the
love
musical
Irma.
should just have been about those two just doing random stuff on this boat, trying not to get caught.
Irma's sleeping with everybody.
Oh
It's
my
hilarious.
God. I'm just like, Irma, you need to get tested as soon as you get on land, because you 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 went through the whole damn crew, and maybe then some after that.
Put it to you this way: there is a scene where Irma pops her head up out of a lifeboat. Two other seamen pop their heads up with her, and then the rest of them come and they're all proposing marriage, which in a 1930s to 1950s musical means that girl slept with every single one of them, and they got a taste of something they liked.
And she's being the actress is adorably funny as well.
Hilarious.
And Robert Lindsay as Moonface Martin. Oh my god, him and Sutton Foster were like cutting up half the time, and like I don't know if it was scripted, but I feel like there was a scene where somebody said something wrong, and the other one was just like, hold up,
You're just gonna run with it. It was so well done.
And then they literally get the classic cane pulling them off of that actually happens. They get the cane pulling them off the stage,
It's
and
fantastic.
I love it.
The whole show is great. This is one of those, even if you're not a fan of musicals, just watch it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is so fun.
It's hilarious.
Now to something not funny.
Talking about that movie. You talk about first, because you are the minority.
I am. And I
this one.
acknowledge that I am the minority of legitimately loving August Rush. I watched this one in school, and again, most of the kids in my class were rolling their eyes at it. I enjoyed it. It is a lowercase m musical. I separate my musicals that way. Lowercase m means that there is music in it, and music is a part of the plot, but there's no iconic songs. It's a lowercase musical.
Yeah.
An uppercase musical would be Annie. So it is a musical drama about Evan, an 11-year-old who is growing up in an orphanage, who believes his parents are out there looking for him. Here's the thing, though. His mom believed he died in childbirth, and his father does not even know he exists. His mother is a popular cellist who left the industry and is now teaching music after finding out what she believes is her son's death. And his father is at the time, failed rock star, who is now working in the corporate world. Also, very, very heavy Irish accent, and I loved everything about that. He runs away from the orphanage that he's living in, or I believe it's actually a boys' home that he's living in, to follow the music to New York to try and find his parents. When he gets to New York, he ends up meeting a young Leon Thomas III, who his most famous role is Victorious as Andre, who then takes him back to where he's living in a condemned theater with a whole bunch of other musically talented kids, and Robin Williams, who exploits said kids. So Robin Williams is the villain of this story. After getting fed up with Robin Williams, Evan leaves, runs off, and ends up hiding out in a church. People at the church do call in to try and find out if there is a kid under the name August Rush missing, because that's the name he gives them. And they're like, no, we don't have one of those kids missing. So they decide to take him in, because the church also doubles as a homeless shelter. So they take him in, they realize that he's super talented in music, and they get him enrolled in Juilliard. In Juilliard, he then writes a very, very cool musical number. And they're just like, hey, we're going to put this on. You're going to be our youngest composer that's going up. Robin Williams finds him again, basically kidnaps him under duress. It's creepy. He goes back to performing in the park. That's where he meets his father. Doesn't know it's his father. So they kind of jam with each other. Ends up talking him into going back and performing at his concert, which Robin Williams has told him he's not allowed to do. And the whole time that he's doing all this, his mom is looking for him because her father on his deathbed told her that, oh yeah, by the way, the baby you thought was dead is actually alive. So she's searching for him, and his father is searching... August's father is searching for the mother. They end up running back into each other at the concert, and the movie literally ends with them sharing a look and looking back up at their kid. Never really clarifies whether they actually know that's their kid. Well, the mom does, because she's seen his picture.
Okay. So y'all remember that scene from American Tail where Fievel and the dad just kept running? They're like scenes where like one's above them and one's underneath, and they just kind of keep missing each other slightly. And if that infuriated you, oh my god, this movie will make you so angry, because that happens so many times. It's like if you just looked to your left, a little bit further or a little bit longer, you would have seen him. And oh my god, there's so many just stupid things that happen for stupid reasons. And like, I don't like using the word plot hole, but like, there is some plot holes in this. All right, so
I can acknowledge that.
yeah. All right, so and this movie wants to be Oliver Twist so in any so bad and just, but it doesn't commit to either one. It just ends up a mess. And when I was watching this movie, I looked up and was like, is it me? Am I just being hateful? No, this movie like bombed both financially and critically when it came out. And I'm like, oh good, okay, whoo, I'm not crazy. All right, so first I will say the one good thing is, of course, Freddie Highmore. We all know he's a great actor. He's been in stuff before and since then. And yeah, it every time it cuts back to him, I'm just like, cool, yes, this movie is interesting. When they show like the lives of like, okay, I don't mind showing like how the mom and dad met and like how they,
Bumped
Uglies and then, split. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We know how they, but every time they go back to them, oh my god, it's so boring. I just don't care about either one of these people. And they cut back to them so much. I'm just like, why are we seeing them again? Honestly, we just need to see them like 3 times throughout the movie. The first time beginning, then in the middle where she finds out, by the way, your son's alive, which we'll get to that in a second a bit anyways. And at the end, where they meet up, and oh my god, this movie needed like another 30 minutes to tie up so many loose ends, and I will get to those. So, yes, yeah, Freddie's like, hey, I think my parents are still alive, I'm gonna run away, kind of thing, goes to New York, meets, and Shelby said, meets up with a kid takes him back to Robin Williams' character, and Robin Williams, exploits the kids and sees, this kid has got more. Everyone's like, he's so special. I'm just like, it's because he's autistic. He's on the spectrum. It's because his music is like the thing that he taps into because he's autistic. But this is made in 2008, so that was still a very unpopular thing at the time. So they're just like, he's talented. I'm like, yes, technically he is talented, but also it's because he's on the spectrum. Anyways, I digress on that. Oh my god. Why did they make... Okay, so I don't mind Robin Williams as a villain because... Not as a villain in this film, but like playing a villain. Because he's done like 48 Hours films and other films where he plays a fantastic villain. And like when he really wants to be cutthroat and stuff, he can, and it's great. In this, I didn't know if I was supposed to take him seriously or not. I think they were trying to have him play as like either he has schizophrenia or something medically wrong, or he's on drugs. We just don't ever see him take the drugs, kind of thing there. And he like has a weird combination of like villainy and his usual funny stuff, and it doesn't make sense in the movie or in the theming. And they have him like look like Guy Fieri and the dude from Crocodile Dundee had this weird baby, and it's because he's got the weird sideburns and this like tiny little I forgot what it's called, flavored goatee thing, and it's like all dyed red, and he's got a southern accent sort of, and it's like, why? I don't know if that was direction or just while Robin Williams trying out something, but it doesn't work. Yeah, so that's my main issue with Robin Williams. Moving on. So yeah, so also this way that the title of the movie, and how the kid gets his name is like the dumbest thing ever. I was thinking the whole time, like, so is August Rush just like a feeling he has with the music, or is that like an actual terminology in the musical word that I'm just not aware of? No! Robin Williams is just like, you need a better name than Evan, even though I'm just like, Evan's a pretty good name, like, for music, dude, I'm just saying. But he's just like, you need a made-up name. We should think of something. And he, like, looks at a truck going by that has, like, I'm like, okay, that's fine if you have truck going by, but, like, the way like the wording is made on this truck, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense because it says August rush to the summer beach. I'm like, huh? What does that mean? What does that mean? So we're like, no, we're gonna name you August Rush. I'm just like, y'all could have done a better way of explaining. I mean, just been a freaking street sign or something, or I don't know, just like do the fucking, Charlotte's Web, where they find, what should we do? What should be the next word on the spider web, Charlotte? I don't know. Let me pull off something. Let's get Templeton to pull off something off this soapbox. Radiant. There we go. We give him radiance. Okay, so we just get. You could have been looking up back of a, Lucky Charms, and it's like this August, rush to the theaters to see Lucky Charms movie. I don't know, something like that. Not August rush to the summer beach.
I wish y'all could see him right now.
Oh
He's
my
so
God.
animated.
I'm not even done yet. Okay. So, we get to the part where he like runs away, and then, because
it's the cops, and he's already disillusioned.
The cop, yeah. So the Robin Williams, told him just like, hey, if the cops catch you, or if anybody catches you, say your fake name, and the boy just kind of runs with it. I get it. He's like, he's still kind of a new wet behind the ears. He's just like, yeah, the adult told me to do something, so I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like, when he goes to the homeless shelter, and, he gives his fake name, yeah, they do. Later on, they say, oh, yeah, we called up the police and, like, showed his, told his name, and they didn't have anybody in their records there. But by the time that happens, by the way, there's already one, have you seen this boy? His picture's already plastered on, like, lost, those like the pictures you see at Walmart thing, like, this is the kid that this is lost by this date, he should look like this now, kind of thing. So, I don't, you could have just, this whole movie would have ended if, I'm like, yes, I know there's the whole thing, and just like, well, if everybody was smart, we would not have the movie, but I'm like, if everybody's dumb, then we just have a dumb movie. So he, like, never thinks, well, why don't I just take the kid down to the police precinct? Just making sure, just like, hey, I know you don't have an August Rush in your database, but does this face match anybody in your database? Because his face is plastered everywhere. And, like, they would have been, like, the, Terrence Howard is the CPS guy, and like he's like the last person this kid has talked to before he runs away, and he's helping the mother kind of with like finding him. So like he's there like every day at this place there. So yes, like immediately everybody would have known who this kid was if they had just taken him down to the local precinct and be like, just making sure this kid who just randomly showed up at a church in the middle of the night is not in your database? No? Cool. Alright. We're going to take him in Juilliard. Alright. Continuing on. As much as I like Freddie Highmore, and it's, cool seeing him in school and stuff, there really need to be a 5 years later between when he gets to the church and he learns how to write music and him being in Juilliard. Because this all takes place, by the way, in the span of like a week. And between like when he runs away to the concert thing. And that's just way too much time for, one, the mom to do everything with the CPS stuff. Because CPS, is like, hey, if you're filing missing child report, you do have to work out this paperwork, yada yada yada, and then all the time to print out the posters and put them everywhere, and then him going into Juilliard and getting so good at Juilliard and recognize that they're like, we want you to put on this massive concert that hundreds of people are going to be in the span of a week. I'm like, no, you can't. I'm sorry. I know you wanted to do a lot of stuff in this movie. I get what you're trying to do, movie. You needed a time, like like sees everybody in the church. He learns about writing music, and then we do a montage. We do a little 2-minute montage of him writing music and him aging, and the mom just never finding him. Robin Williams' character doing something, because by the way, he comes back. We'll talk about that later. And like, he should be like, he's like been at Juilliard for a couple years now, and they're just like, this kid is amazing. He is like Beethoven kind of level, not Beethoven.
Mozart.
Mozart? Is that who I'm thinking of? No. Amadeus. He is Amadeus levels of smart here. And he is just like, he's ready to do like this is his magnum opus kind of thing here. But no, this happens like a week. And I'm just like, there's so much I can take out of my disbelief, suspension of belief before I'm like, stop. This needed another rewrite script wise. Anyways, so yeah, we keep going back and forth to what the mom and dad are doing throughout their life. I don't give a crap. You won't give a crap.
I gave a crap.
You gave a crap, but you're in the minority. The dad is a business person. They don't even say what he does. He's just talking on cell phone. He's like, can we get 10%? I would like 10%. 10%. Business. And he then runs into some of his friends, and that doesn't go anywhere. And then he's like, there's like a subplot of him trying to be in a band again, but that doesn't go anywhere in the story, so I don't know why we harped on it. Anyways, the mom, we show she's a teacher. That's fine. We should have had that in the middle movie along with all the CPS stuff, just to show this is where she's at in life. And also, by the way, her dad is dying, and that's when he tells her, by the way, I thought like the whole time she was dead. Like she died in birth, and then the dad, gave the kid away because they don't know neither one. Alright, she would have known who the dad was, but he wouldn't have known. Or if he did know, he wouldn't want to deal with that. Because he's very, he wants her controlling, wants her to be like this perfect, zealous and whatever. Anyways, so, but no, she's alive. So, that's the plot hole. I'm just like, hang on. She's alive. They show you and you tell her that you forged the signature, and then she wakes up literally like hours after birth, and he like says on oh, he didn't make it, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, no, because they even show that the baby is still in the area with all the babies, the newborn room, so he's still in the hospital. If this was like she had the baby and then went into a coma for months, that would be one thing. But no, it's like she had the baby and then woke up a couple hours later and he's dead. I'm like, one of the first things, like I'm not a doctor. I don't know how this all works, but like you would think that like a nurse or doctor would just be like, by the way, we are going to make sure this kid is going to go to a new home. You don't have to worry about your kid. And she would have been like, hold up. Wait a minute there. He just told me we're dead. Oh yeah, this is your signature, right? Nope, because didn't you just see I was out? How could I have written this if I was out? Make it make sense, people. So, that's the big plot hole. Like, the doctors know that she's out. Dad knows she's out. She knows she's out. And yet nobody's like checking in on her, just like, hey, how you doing? Baby's in the room if you do want to say bye to him before you leave and stuff like that. Because, that movie would have ended right there. Would have been a much cooler movie, much more interesting movie. It's just like, alright, she has a one-night stand with the dude. She never gets his name because this is before Facebook and cell phones, because this takes place in like 98 or whatever. That part of it is. Yeah. So she then has to, deal with trying to be famous on her own, but, also, raising a child as a single mother in the 90s there with a controlling dad. And this is where Robin Williams should have been as the controlling dad, because he plays that role very well. And then you can still have the same thing where, okay, we get, neither one of us have talked about this, but like when Robin Williams finds out that Freddie's character is like musically gifted in a way to where he like makes awesome music by just slapping on a guitar, he like ignores all the other kids and they become jealous and stuff, which I get it. They're all kids are like, oh, you thought I was gifted, and then this is the new bright new thing. That could have still been a plot point, but just have it be the mom and the grandson versus the random kid and the other random kids, with the weird Robin Williams thing going on there that I didn't like it one bit. I get it was supposed to be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's just like you had a good idea there for a plot, and you just kind of threw it away. So yeah. And then we get to the part where he's like, he's teaching everybody at this, and
he's getting ready to conduct his
and test it. And that's when
practicing.
Robin Williams comes back and he's like, "It's my son. Oh yeah, you don't need to be doing this," because they're putting silly ideas into your head. And August Evan, he's just like, "Yeah, that's my dad. Let me go." And then, like, literally a scene later, he's like, "You know what? No, I'm just going to go back there. It's opening." This is, like, after having a thing with his dad, which he didn't know his dad. That was a cute scene. But anyways.
Yeah, you were smiling during that scene.
That was a cute scene. But then, and then Robbins is like, no, because I said no. And then, then Jamie Simon Nash's, Jamie Simon Nash's, where is he? Leon Thomas III's character bashes him over the head, and he tells him, "Run, August, run!"
No, it's Forrest Gump.
But and then he runs, and then he ends up at the thing, and then he conducts it. And we'll get to the conducting thing in a second. Why did we have that scene? Movie? We didn't need that scene. You could have just had that you could have just had him say, "No, that's not my dad. Arrest that man. By the way, he's got a bunch of other kids that would probably do really good at your school too." I get it. He's a
traumatized 11-year-old.
But by this time, he's been around enough adults to know maybe I should tell them the truth about some things. First of all,
spoken as a kid who wasn't traumatized as a kid.
First of all, name's Evan Rush, not August. Anyways. I digress. Alright, so moving on to there. Alright, so yeah, so the end up, by the way, there's another whole subplot about the dad thinking, you know what, I should contact that lady now that I still regret not hooking back up with after all these years. And he finds her through websites and stuff. This is before Facebook. Or, this is on the cusp of Facebook where people were just...
2008, 2009.
Yeah, so people were still suddenly finding each other on Facebook in social media in general. But he does find a phone number. He does try to call multiple times. Never picks up. And he finally just, screw it, I'm just going to go to New York and find her myself. But again, we didn't really need that. You could have easily just said they both ended up having to happen to live in the same city, and he just didn't realize that because New York is a pretty big city kind of thing, and one could be having night shifts and one could be having day shifts or something like that, to where they just never cross paths. That's
you could have kept them in the same jobs they were in. She's a teacher, he's a businessman. They never would have crossed paths anyway.
You never, anyways. So, yeah. Okay. And then we get to the ending where he's conducting. Cool song. Not the type of song you would think he would be playing. Alright, so if you think this kid's, basically becoming classically trained at Juilliard, and he's learning all this music, and he shows off and music, you're thinking he's going to do some sort of Ninth Symphony or something like that. No. This is if John Williams did Star Wars and Avatar and Indiana Jones at the same time and smashed together. It kind of sounds like that, and I don't know why, because at none time in the movie does this kid get introduced to anything John Williams related, or just anything that sounds like it doesn't sound like a classical musical score. It sounds like
The movie score.
a movie score, and I'm like, I get it, it's a movie, so it's going to sound like a movie score, but like, come on now. Why? Also, like, the all throughout they show that he likes conducting music based off of like just sounds he hears, like horns honking and drills and wind chimes and stuff. I'm like, cool. This movie's just gonna end up with like the big thing being stomp, right? We're just gonna have stomp there. Everybody's gonna be playing on the metal drums and stuff. No. It just sounds. The beginning sounds like the freaking DreamWorks introduction. I'm expecting him to get up on a moon and throw a fishing rod and conduct from the moon, because I'm like, hold up, this is a DreamWorks movie. No, it's not a DreamWorks movie. Okay, because it really sounds like Okay, if you've seen a DreamWorks movie and you know the intro, do you know what I'm talking about? And that's what it just sounds like the beginning. And then it jumps into Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and I'm like, what are you doing? Anyways, they never tie up the loose end of what happens to Robin Williams' character. So, yeah, he gets bashed on top of the head, but then you hear him still chasing the kid. I'm like, what happens to him? What happens to all the other kids? He's still out there, abusing kids and using them, and we never see. I would have loved this and needed another 30 minutes to have that get tied up with him getting arrested, all the kids finding families, or just being enrolled in Julia, something.
It just needed an epilogue.
It needed an epilogue. And then, yes, oh my God, the ending. The mom was there because she wanted to get suddenly, once she find out her son was actually alive, she suddenly feels the call to do music, and I'm like, that's cool, that's cute. And she happens to be at the same concert as her playing first, and I'm like, hold up, you just stayed just for your part? You didn't want to stay for what would have been advertised as like this 11-year-old kid, which by the way is the same age as the kid you're looking for, is conducting this fantastic song. No, you just want to stay for your little thing and then bop it out. Why? Because you're looking. There's a scene where she sees the kid's picture, so she obviously knows what this kid looks like. And then she sees a kid from the behind that kind of looks like him, and then she, pulls around. It's not him. Big shock, because it's not that right in the movie. I'm like, hold up. You knew that there was going to be a little kid here conducting, and you're on a search for a little kid, but you didn't want to stop and find out if the little kid was your little kid? Why? Okay. The dad, running from a taxi and seeing that the girlfriends, they're not even girlfriends, the one night stand name is listed on the playing at the park thing there, so he runs. I'm like, that makes sense. That's him. Go do that. They find each other. I'm like, that's fine. They hold hands. I'm like, oh, that's cute and small. See, he turns around, and that's when the movie ends. And I'm like, no. This needed 30 minutes to be like, are you really my parents? Yes, this is what happens. This is why you were here. We're sorry. And then, then you could do the all live happily ever after we also get, Robin Williams arrested, comeuppance there, and a nice little closing for Terrence Howard's CPS character, because he just lost and he doesn't show up. And
he's at the concert.
Is he at the concert?
I believe he's at the concert.
Okay, so I was just, oh my gosh.
Because I believe he's standing next to the little girl.
Is he? I thought that was the pastor that was standing next to the little girl.
I think they're both up
there. Okay. So he wouldn't have known that too and be like, hey, by the way?
He didn't get a chance to tell him.
Okay, so see, that's the stupid thing about this. There's so many times where it's just like, by the way.
He literally got dressed and got on stage. That's all he had time for.
But still, by the way.
Also, theater rule. You don't tell someone big news directly before they go on stage. You wait till the performance is over.
I don't care. I would have been like, screw Screw rules. Woman, by the way, this kid that you're looking for is here. That's the
No,
conductor.
you could tell her.
Right? Like, I'm sorry. There's just so many, like, but I was getting angry at this movie by the halfway
really
point.
was.
I was like, I gotta get through it once. Maybe this ends up being better. It just has a weird, bad beginning. No, it just gets worse. What the hell are you doing, Robin Williams? Moving on.
Finally, next one?
Yep.
Oh, y'all think that was bad? Just wait. He has ones that he thinks even less of. Next, we're talking about Billy Elliot, which was filmed live in the UK. This one came out in 2014, so not the Tom Holland one.
Which I was disappointed in because I was like, aw, I want to see Tom Holland.
But the story of Billy Elliot is a story of a 12-year-old boy, again, who decides to give up boxing and pursue dancing, because he's always wanted to dance, to the chagrin of his dad and his brother during the 1980s miners' strike in the UK. So there are references to Margaret Thatcher, there are references to all of that. There is a poverty element to the story. They are out of work at the time.
Was this also based on a movie and then turned into
Yes.
a musical? Okay, that was...
The music is... Elton John is one of the people who worked on
Right.
it, so that's why the songs themselves are, like, really catchy.
Oh, yeah.
And this is another one. It is really good for... The choreography is fantastic.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Because it has to be. And the little boy playing Elliot is really good. And I will say, you probably wouldn't have enjoyed it all that much, because it is a lot of family strife, and a lot of family drama, and very, very heavy British accents.
Yeah, that was the thing that took me out of it. Like, I'm like, this is something I gotta watch with subtitles on, because I did not really understand a lick of what any of them were saying.
I understood every word. The song that stands out to me the most is the grandmother song, where she's explaining her relationship with their grandfather. And it is about, how the grandfather was an alcoholic and abusive, but everything was fine when they went dancing, and then when they were sober, everything was bad again. Which is unfortunately really common in families from the 80s.
That's still coming out.
It is, but it was less talked about.
Yeah,
The community does eventually rally around Billy to send him off, because originally he was going to have to be secreted off by the dance teacher to the audition the first round, and he ends up missing it because his dad and his brother throw a fit about they didn't want their son becoming a sissy at the time. This takes place in the 80s, so they saw boys dancing as sissy and everything.
They saw Zoolander, and it's like, that's where you're going to end up.
And it also has a subplot of Billy's best friend discovering that he is gay. And there's, like, hints of it all the way through until you get to the point where the boy actually realizes that he's gay. Like, he likes putting on women's clothes, he likes dressing up, he's only, like, 11, 12, he's experimenting, he's discovering himself. It's the age where you do that. And to Billy's credit, when his friend does try to kiss him, he's just like, I'm not into it, but we're still cool. Which, again, for taking place in the 80s, was a really progressive thing to have Billy do.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. It's a beautiful story. It's really heartwarming to watch how this family progresses. There is a part of the story where I am actually on the brother's side, and it is when, even though it is for a good reason, the dad decides to become a scab and go back into the mines to get the work, to get the money to send Billy off to the audition. And when...
You don't do that.
You don't do that.
No.
And when the brother addresses him about it and fights with him about it, they end up at odds. He's like, I understand why you're doing this, but I'm still not going to support it.
No.
Which does end up with the dad, deciding to not go through with it. And they have a community meeting, and everyone gets together and contributes money. And what actually ends up getting Billy to the audition is a scab coming in and giving him their wages. And they weren't going to take it because they didn't take money from scabs. They didn't want anything from scabs. But Billy's like, look, it's this or I don't go. So the community rallies around him. And it's got, for me, the two best songs are the grandmother song and Electricity, which is where the teachers at the London Ballet Academy ask him, well, what does dance feel like to you? And he describes it as literally electricity flowing through him, which is how a lot of dancers explain it. And it's a really cool scene. Everything about this is fantastic. Definitely watch it if you can handle really, really thick English accents. And not like the proper English accents. They're akin to a deep Southern accent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even think I finished this one because I just
couldn't
could not
understand
get past their accents there. But if it sounds interesting, definitely check it out. Okay, so was the movie itself based on anything?
I don't know.
Like a book or anything?
I'm not sure.
Like the whole time, like when I was watching this, I'm just like, did they take the one song from Chorus Line and just turn that into a full movie and then the full movie into musical? Because it feels like they did that. And you know which song I'm talking about, too.
Which one?
I can do that.
Oh, yeah. It does sound inspired by it,
Yeah.
but no. I don't believe that's what happened.
All right. Just saying.
So the next one is Brigadoon from 1954.
I love this film.
So do I.
It's a nice little cozy film. Hey, when I was talking about, hey, Gene Kelly has better films than
This is one of them. It is fantastic. So the plot of this one is two American tourists, Tommy and Jeff, get lost in the Scottish Highlands and come across a town that is only visible to the general public once every 100 years. And the rules of this community are, if you were born there, you cannot leave. If you leave, then the spell is broken and everyone has to deal with reality. If you're a newcomer and you decide to stay there, you also can't leave. But you can only stay there if you truly love someone there. Not love the town, you have to love someone there. So, while there, Tommy falls in love with a woman named Fiona, played by Sid Charisse. Fantastic.
Beautiful
She's
woman.
gorgeous. Also, there's so much tartan in this, and it's absolutely beautiful.
And it's just a beautiful film in
It's
general.
so pretty. He falls in love with Fiona and must choose between returning to his modern life or staying in this enchanted village. He briefly returns to New York, realizes his life is empty, goes back to Scotland, and miraculously is able to find Brigadoon again because of his love for Fiona.
It's a nice fantasy film.
It is so pretty.
It's one of the few light fantasy musicals. Like, musicals are usually dramas, comedies. You don't usually get a lot of fantasy ones.
But
So this is a nice fantasy one. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's got a bunch of Scottish iconography and dances and accents, and it's great, and I love it.
It's really interesting that you cannot tolerate an English accent, but you love a Scottish accent.
I don't know.
But this is another one that, just watch it. It is fantastic. And it's one of the few older ones where there's not really much in it that wouldn't hold up today.
No, yeah, this one. I know they've done reiterations. I don't think they've ever changed anything.
No,
Yeah.
not that I know of. And it's gorgeous to watch. And Gene Kelly is charming as always. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
This next one you're going to have absolutely no opinion on. It's Burlesque.
Yeah, I'm going to just say it right here. I've seen the film. I couldn't tell you a thing about it other than Cher's in this, right?
Cher and Christina Aguilera and Alan Cumming, Eric Dane, Julianne Hough, Peter Gallagher, Kristen Bell, Stanley
A lot of people
Tucci.
that I like. I just don't care for it. So you tell the plot and you give your thoughts.
So it's about Allie, a small town girl, they never say what town, moves to LA, as one does, and finds her calling at a struggling burlesque club run by Tess, played by Cher. Allie rises from a waitress to a star performer because she decided she really wanted to go for dance when Julianne Hough's Georgia randomly becomes pregnant, which is one of the funniest scenes in the movie, and shows that she knows all the steps, she can do it, and then all of a sudden, one night, Kristen Bell's Nikki gets pissed off because she gets fired for once again being drunk at work, and decides to cut the music, which then leads to Christina Aguilera doing what she does best and busting out into these old classics with her really strong belt and proving that she could just sing the songs while they're performing. So she becomes the club's star performer. People are coming in specifically to see her. And the whole thing, the reason that they weren't having anyone sing, is that the only person who was supposed to sing was Cher's Tess.
Because it's Cher.
Because it's Cher. And Nikki had an issue with that. She's like, why don't the rest of us sing? She's like, well, because they're not coming to see you sing. They're coming to see you dance. And then Nikki ends up being the one to be a catalyst to get Christina Aguilera's Ally singing, because she decides to pull the plug. Now, the whole time, the club is struggling. They have no way to pay the bills. And Ally's character starts kind of hooking up with Eric Dane's Marcus, who tells her all about a little something called air rights, where you can have somebody buy the free space above your building to preserve their views of whatever, so no one can build above it. And he wants to buy Tessa's club, tear it down, and build a high-rise there. Well, Ally takes that information about air rights to the person building the condos near them and going like, hey, if you buy the air rights from here, you can protect your views because someone wants to tear this building down and prevent your views of the LA skyline or the beach or something. So that's how they're able to save the club, is by selling the air rights so no one can build above it. The club gets to stay open. Ally gets to continue to shake her butt and sing to her heart's content, and Eric Dane leaves home empty-handed.
Yeah, I don't remember any of this.
The songs in it are really fun. Granted, they all are covers of classic songs, like Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, which was made popular by Marilyn Monroe. Christina Aguilera sings it in it. Something's Got a Hold on Me is like the opening to the movie. It's fantastic.
Would you count this as a capital letter musical or a lowercase letter musical?
I count it as a lowercase musical because it is technically a jukebox musical of a hodgepodge of songs that have all been done better by someone else. The only two original songs that I believe are Cher's song, You Haven't Seen the Last of Me, which is fantastic because it's Cher. Oh no, there's three. There's Show Me How You Burlesque, which is the end number, and Bound to You, which is the middle, where Ally's kind of going through her little situationship with the bartender. The bartender is a guy from Twilight. It's the dude from Twilight. It's the villain from Twilight.
Oh, no.
He's kind of a forgettable character throughout the whole thing. In fact, the funniest thing while I was watching the movie in terms of casting was I realized that Mark the DJ, who was just a random character, is Dr. Sam in New Girl.
Yep.
It's Dr. Sam. But this is one of those movies that's just kind of fun. The choreography for it is fun. Honestly, this is more of a listen to the soundtrack versus watch the movie.
That's
because
fair.
the soundtrack is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, we played the soundtrack.
I play the soundtrack a lot. It's fun. It's fun to sing along to. They're like really good shower songs. But unless you're just really in the mood to watch like a turn your brain off musical, you don't necessarily have to watch this one. This one's just nostalgic for me because I watched it a lot in high school with my friends, and we talked about the costumes like nonstop because they're fantastic and they're adorable, and I kind of still really want that piano skirt. I don't remember how you feel about Bye Bye Birdie.
I like Bye Bye Birdie. I do, but to be fair, you tell me that Dick Van Dyke is going to be in the movie, I'm 9 times out of 10 going to enjoy it. And also it has like one of the most iconic songs, Put on a Happy Face.
Yeah.
In there, which before I watched this musical, did not know came from a musical. I thought it was just a song that they made, and it was like, I didn't even know that it originated with Dick Van Dyke, because this is like, he did it on Broadway, and then they filmed, this was like one of the few films where it's just like, it came on Broadway, and just literally just a couple years later, they made a filming of it, and most of the people that were on Broadway, they just brought to the film, including Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, that was more common back when this came out, because musicals were really big in like the 50s and 60s.
But I don't think a lot of musicals went to film this quickly after coming out.
Bye Bye Birdie is just fun.
It is a very fun one. You want to explain the plot? Because it's a fun plot.
Conrad Birdie is
It's Elvis.
It's supposed to be Elvis. He's like a parody of Elvis as being drafted into the army, and all of his fans are really upset by it, which, fair. You find out your
And-
favorite artist is getting drafted, you're going to be upset.
And I don't know if he actually got drafted, but Elvis did actually
Was actually in the military.
Was actually in the military.
So what his agent decides to do, his agent is also a songwriter and also has like a biochemical engineering degree. He wants to be a scientist, but his mother wants him to be a music producer, so that's what he is.
Yeah.
And his agent Albert Peterson and his agent secretary Rosie decide to get him on the Ed Harris show as like a last hurrah, have him perform one of Albert's songs since Albert has never had a song sell. And then...
And Ed Harris is supposed to be Ed Sullivan, by the way.
And end it with him giving a farewell kiss to the country by giving a farewell kiss to one of his fans on live TV. And they literally picked this girl out of basically a hat. They just pull a name out of a filing cabinet, out of a list of like fans. And the thing is, the girl that they pick had just recently been pinned by her boyfriend, so her boyfriend's a little upset that she's going to be kissing another man on TV, which, again, fair. And for those who don't know, getting pinned back then was like a really big deal. It's like basically saying, it was basically an engagement before an engagement.
Basically a promise ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a really big deal. So the whole movie is like the back and forth between Kim and Hugo with the whole, I'm not really comfortable with you kissing this dude. Well, I'm just doing it for TV, for the fans.
It's Birdie. Who wouldn't?
And like sometimes he's cool with it, sometimes he's not cool with it, depending on who's in his ear. Typical teenage stuff. Yeah. And also at the same time, you have Albert and Rosie going back and forth because Rosie's really looking for a definitive commitment from Albert, but Albert is the definition of a mama's boy.
By the way, Albert is played by Dick Van Dyke.
Fantastically, by the way. He is great at it. And the whole way that they're able to actually get Conrad on the TV, because during this whole time, the Russians decide they want to increase their time on the show because they're supposed to have a big part on it doing a ballet. They decided to do a different dance, which was going to be 4 minutes longer, which was going to cut Conrad's piece altogether. So what they do is they use one of Albert's inventions, which is supposed to make pets go faster, and they use it on the ballerinas. Well, they use it on the conductor.
That was a weird part.
They use it on the conductor, so the conductor is conducting faster, which makes everything go basically in 2 time.
They just sped up the film.
They sped up the film. Which then gave Conrad his spot back. The only way that Albert was able to convince the town to let Kim do this, because first he had to convince her father. He convinced her father by saying, you can give a speech before she goes on and kisses Birdie. Alright, well, the town is still upset because of all the hullabaloo that Birdie's brought to town, so the father then tells the mayor that the mayor can make a speech before he makes a speech, before his daughter kisses Birdie and Birdie performs a song. So they're having to create all this time, which is why they had to speed up the ballet. And it's another one of like 1950s, 1960s musical where it's a lot of hijinks, it's a lot of fun.
It's very silly. It
knows it's silly.
It knows this is not one where they're taking anything seriously.
No.
This is a comedy through and through. This is almost a parody, basically.
And it's so fun for it.
Like when she explained that to me before I watched it, I'm like, hey. But then the opening number is Bye Bye Birdie.
It opens and closes with Bye Bye Birdie.
And it's like all the kids like doing what is the game called? Telephone. Yeah, it's called Telephone. Just doing telephone, going back and forth.
That's the next scene. That's the telephone hour.
They're just showing all these. I'm just like, this is great. This is great.
So cute.
I'm in for this. It's not made by Disney, but it feels like it was made by Disney.
My personal favorite scene is the song "Kids," where Kim's dad and Albert's mom are complaining about their kids.
Mine, of course, is "Put on a Happy Face" because it's "Put on a Happy Face" and it's Dick Van Dyke doing Dick Van Dyke. You know, he dances, and this is him dancing.
And the prettiest song in the show, in my opinion, is "One Boy." It's very pretty.
Remember that one.
It's basically Kim calming Hugo. Just like, look, I'm doing this, but I'm not super into him. I'm into you. Mm-hmm. There's only one guy for me, and it's you. And it's very sweet. But yeah, it's a very cute show. It's a very fun show. It's kid friendly. It's fun. Now for another one. You
This
only got
movie's
half.
not about carousel. I didn't like it because it was called Carousel. It has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with a carousel. It's about a abusive dude that dies and leaves behind a kid, and then he comes back as a force ghost and is trying to teach us the dude that's eventually gonna marry her about this is all am I getting this right?
Close.
This is I should have been not been abusive dumbass, and I'm like yeah. And you don't have a carousel in it, so I don't know why it's called carousel. I get it. It's the abusive dude works as a carousel operator. That is not a good excuse. It could have been, it literally named anything but carousel.
Right, this is Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel. It's about Billy Bigelow, a carousel barker who falls in love with mill worker Julie Jordan. They get married. She gets pregnant. When she tells him that she's pregnant, he's already out of work. They've both lost their jobs because she refused to go back to the mill when she was told to because she wanted to spend time with him. He lost his job because he got married. So when he finds out she's pregnant, he decides he has to find a way to get money for his family. And in doing so, he goes with one of his friends to commit a robbery. When he commits the robbery, he gets caught. They call the cop, well, the 1800s version of calling the cops, which was just basically yelling.
Yeah.
And decides instead of going to jail because it would be, one, he just didn't want to, and two, it would not be good for his wife and his child, he decides to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when he is up there getting judged, they tell him, you can go back down for one day and try and make someone's life better. So when he goes back down, it is 15 years later, because one day up there is like forever down here. He finds out that Julie has had the baby. The baby is a girl. The girl has a lot of his same spirit. She's free-spirited. She doesn't really want to be there. And he decides to try and make her life better. And in doing so, ends up making Julie's life better as well. The main part of the story is supposed to be about love and forgiveness. I don't stand by the abuse storyline. I don't stand by forgiving your abusers. That is not the part of the story that I enjoy. The part of the story that I enjoy is actually the friendship between Julie and Carrie. Because Carrie is Julie's best friend in the show. She actually ends up in a better off financial decision because she ends up marrying this really ambitious fisherman, I believe, who opens up a cannery and everything, and he becomes super rich, and they have a boatload of kids. But she still stands by her friend. She still, even though her friend made terrible decision in picking Billy, she still stands by her. She still helps her where she can. That for me is the actual part of the story that everyone tries to get to about showing love and forgiveness.
I would have liked it if it was just about a carousel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do about music. You can do a whole love story about carousel. I mean, there's a lot of imagery there, and you can do thematics about carousel. But no, it's not brought up.
There is one thing with this show that does kind of stand out for me in a weird way. So one of the actors in this, she plays the person who runs the fair, runs the carousel. The character's name is Mrs. Mullen, who is played by Kate Burton. She plays Meredith's mother, Ellis, in Grey's Anatomy. The show is Carousel. Ellis's famous line in the show is, "The carousel never stops turning." So that's just like a weird little connection for me that I thought was kind of cool. And that also just kind of sums up the show itself for me, though, is that the world doesn't stop turning. The life around you is not going to stop turning for you to try and fix your mistakes. You have to be a good person in the moment.
Or you can have a ghost dad help you. I'm just saying. I get it what they're trying to say, but then they literally have a ghost dude that literally does help make everybody's lives better because through him being a ghost. So yeah, don't know if that was the right move. Right move. Right move.
Alrighty. The next one which you just saw for the first time yesterday.
Oh, it's very pretty. I fell asleep for the first half and did watch the second half. It's very, very pretty musical.
So the next one is Chess in Concert, starring Josh Groban as Anatoly Servetsky, Idina Menzel as Florin Vassy, and Adam Pascal as Frederick Trumper. I hate that his last name is Trumper. And it is a Cold War love triangle where the Russian Grandmaster, played by Josh Groban, and the American champion, played by Adam Pascal, fall in love with their manager, Idina Menzel. Idina Menzel is only into Josh, and it is mostly an allegory for the Cold War.
Yeah, and it's a very in-your-face
allegory.
Yeah.
The music is done by Tim Rice, who did like half the Disney movies in the 90s. And the two dudes from ABBA.
And when she said that, I thought the songs were going to be a little bit more poppy, but no, it's a lot more Tim Rice than ABBA. So if you're worried that this is like Mamma Mia but with chess, no, it's not. It's more like
Aida. Which, funny enough, Adam Pascal was in Aida.
And funny enough, Disney's going to put on officially on a pro shot. So
get on that, dude.
Do it.
Come on.
Do it.
Can you see how we feel about Aida? It is really pretty. Of course, it was going to be pretty anyway because Josh Groban, Idina Menzel, and Adam Pascal.
Right. It's got a great cast.
It has a fantastic cast. And then Carrie Ellis. So one of the things that just kind of scratched at the happy part of my theater brain is Adam Pascal and Idina Menzel. Some of their most famous work is Rent.
Yeah.
They're both in the original cast and in the movie. Mm-hmm. And then Carrie Ellis and Idina Menzel have both played Elphaba, which is actually Idina's most famous role.
Right. Adele Dazeem.
So it was just scratching at all the happy theater parts in my brain.
Yeah. And if you've never seen one of the in-concert type of musicals, it's not like a pro shot where it's still the musical just, on a stage filmed. In concert it's the actors there singing the parts, but they don't really do a lot of acting. There may be some like dancing and moving around. There's no sets. It is just like if you're going to see literally anything else in concert, there's the band there. They might have a screen kind of showing some imagery just to kind of give you an idea of what's supposed to go on right now.
There were a few props.
There were, but like it's if you ever come across any of that and you think, oh, this is a pro shot, not really.
Kind of, but not really.
Yeah, this is just them singing the songs, but it's a very toned down.
They still emote. They still like act the part, but they're not.
But production wise, it's very very toned down.
That's why for me this one is like a different side of the lowercase m musical. Like it doesn't have the grandiosity of the sets and everything.
Right.
Costumes are usually a lot more pared down, and there is more focus on the music.
Right. In the singing, and the talent.
And for me personally, the in concert version of musicals are also usually really good when you're sick. Mm-hmm. Like if you
don't have to, you're just listening to it. You don't have to focus on the visuals.
Like if you're awake enough to focus, it's good to focus on, but also you don't have to feel like you're missing a whole lot if you do fall asleep. Yeah. Not that you should sleep through the whole thing. It's fantastic. It's a great watch. The next one is All Ben because I hate it with 1,000 fires.
I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's the first musical that I got introduced to. Oh my god, there's just one. It's Dick Van Dyke. Being Dick Van Dyke, and this is based off of a book by Ian Fleming. Okay, so interesting information about this. Can you scroll up a little bit so I can make sure I'm getting this right? Yes. Okay, so Ian Fleming wrote the book Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The book is a lot more like his other more well-known work. If you don't know who Ian Fleming is, he is the creator of the James Bond franchise, in book-wise. So when he... but this is like one of his only real kids books that he wrote there. So yeah, so it's a very much more spy centric type of thing, and JJ Bang Bang's kind of like a kind of has like some they say it's like it has magic in it, but like really it's like got some tech in it, and the inventor it just didn't know that he put tech in it. Anyways, but so the film was written primarily by Roald Dahl, um, and but and then Ian Fleming helped write. I think it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory there. So it's kind of one of those things where it's just like the two odd crossover there. But anyways, but if you like Roald Dahl stuff, you probably will like this, and vice versa. So if you've never heard of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, it is about Dick Van Dyke's character, Caractacus Potts. He is an inventor. He is like absent-minded professor levels inventor there, but he has two kids, and he is trying to invent something that will basically, make money for him so that he can live and just kind of take care of his kids and stuff. When he's at work doing weird inventions and stuff, his grandpa or his dad, their grandpa, kind of watches over them, which in this film is played by Lionel Jeffries. He is trying to just kind of invent anything, and one day he invents this candy, which if you blow into it makes a whistling noise. There is actually candy like this in today's world. They're like called whistle stops. There's in the show they're called toot sweeps, and growing up when we got them, I would call them toot sweets because that's just that. But it's a real candy. And in the book, the kids find that the longer that you suck on the candy, because it'll slowly dissolve, because it's basically just a hard candy, it will have a higher pitch, and you can if you move your tongue on the hole and stuff, you can make like little notes and stuff with it. It's kind of cool. He really put a lot of thought into this little candy there. So he happens to almost get in a wreck with Sally Ann Hale's character, Truly Scrumptious. Yes, that is her name, Truly Scrumptious. Remember, this is Ian Fleming we're talking about here, where every woman had, that type of name to her. But, if you've seen a James Bond film and you're like, that's her name, yeah, he did that with all the books, even with this one, Truly Scrumptious. They have a meet cute. It's a meet cute kind of thing over a wreck there. He helps her out of the shit. She has her when they're driving, she veers off into like this mud puddle. He pulls the car and her out, gets her back to the house. She's like, "Oh, this is an interesting invention," and he shows the candy, and she's like, "By the way, my dad is like one of the big heads of candy there. You should show this to him because I'm thinking, I think he would really get into this." So he's like, sure, why not? They, do the whole song Toot Sweet there, and it doesn't go that well because there's a thing with the dogs, and it's weird. Anyways, so while this is all going on, and it's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm getting some of the plot points mixed up here a little bit. But he eventually gets the money, and then he uses the money to build a car, because they didn't have a car and he needs a car. So he creates this vehicle, and he's like, yeah, I just kind of kept putting stuff into it. I really didn't know what I was going to do, so I don't really know what all the car can do. So the drive to a beach, and he basically tells a story, and this is where the movie gets a little confusing, because you're like, is the rest of the movie just them telling the story at the beach, or did this actually happen? In my opinion, it never actually happened. All this is just the story he tells to the kids at the beach. Anyways, but at the beach there, while he's telling the story, the water rises, And so he pulls something on a lever, and the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang turns into a boat. Well, it just so happens while he's driving on water, this king in a blimp sees the car and he wants it for himself. So he rescues them, as in quotes here, because he doesn't really rescue them, more like kidnaps them there. But they get away, and because the king hates children. Why? We never get the explanation. He just does. So they go into hiding, but then eventually the kids get duped and getting captured by this Candyman dude here, and he is the creepiest villain you will ever see. If you've never seen pictures of him, it's like if I forget his name off the top of my head, the okay, in Lord of the Rings, there's Wormtongue, I think is his name. The guy from I think he shows up beginning in Two Towers there, but he's like, the little he's like the king's right hand man kind of thing there. But anyways, so he's like that mixed with the berries and cream guy from the Starburst from the Starburst commercials. The kind of looks like that.
Now I have that stuck in my head.
Yeah. So yeah. But they rescue the kids, and then they rescue all the other kids that are been kidnapped. They don't ever really actually do anything with the kids. They just they don't like kids, so they capture them and put them in jail cells until I don't know, until I guess they're adults. I don't know. They just don't do anything. Anyways, but yeah, it's a very classical, very Disney-ish musical, and Dick Van Dyke actually got in trouble when this movie came out because he said in an interview this was the most Disney like musical that wasn't made by Disney, and at this time Disney was still alive. So he was like, what the hell, dude? So I think he kind of got blacklisted or something for a little odd years, because this was like right after Mary Poppins. So, but I think after he passed away, then Disney was like, yeah. After Disney passed away, Walt Disney passed away, then he started coming back and doing other films for Disney. But yeah, anyways, love it. I love the music to it. I mean, there's so many classical songs in this. I mean, of course, you got the titular song, Chitty Bang Bang. Toot Sweets is great. Truly Scrumptious is cute, if not a bit,
creepy.
No, Truly Scrumptious is the kids singing about how they want a mom and how her name is like the perfect name for a mom.
Yeah, no. The whole movie's just kind of weird and creepy for me.
Okay, whatever. And then you've got, Hushabye Mountain, which is like the lullaby. It's a very sweet, actually very melodic lullaby. You've got this song where they have to pretend that they're toys to get into the castle. So it's a mashup of Truly Scrumptious and Ballerina or whatever song is. So, but yeah, all in all, just to say, this is a really family friendly, cute musical, and definitely one I'd recommend.
I don't like it. I just never enjoyed it. It always came off like a little weird and kind of creepy to me for some reason. I don't trust it.
Okay. You're in the minority on that.
I know. I understand I'm in the minority. Now, for one, I'm not in the minority on, because this is a fantastic musical. We're going to be talking about 1972's Cabaret, starring Liza Minnelli, Michael York, Joel Grey, and Helmut Graham. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, but I'm going to go with it. So the story follows Michael York and Liza Minnelli as they start kind of a doomed romance in 1929, 1930s Germany, at the same time as the rise of the Nazi Party. So Liza Minnelli is a cabaret performer at the Kit Kat Club. Everyone's still trying to hold on to that little bit of innocence, that little bit of freedom that they still have left, while the country is going to crap. At the same time, you're seeing I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's a boarding house owner and a Jewish man and their relationship and how that's falling apart. Again, because of the rise of the Nazi power, a Nazi party and their rise to power. So it's really just warning signs of what to look out for as fascism rises. Kind of something pretty much everyone should be watching right now. Plus, the songs are really good.
I only really enjoy two of them, and it's of course Cabaret and Money Makes the World Go Round.
Money, money, money.
Yeah.
Joel Grey plays the MC in this, and usually your top billing in this show is the MC. And
you want to explain to
the MC is the master of ceremonies. It's basically the person who's announcing everything at the cabaret. When you go to any event, it's the person who's like announcing what's coming up. And specifically with cabaret, the MC is basically your narrator the whole way through. Some iconic MCs are, of course, Joel Grey, Alan Cumming. We just had Eddie Redmayne play him and did a fantastic job there. We've had Adam Lambert play him, Billy Porter. That's usually got to be your top billing, your big draw. Is
that where they usually do, like, if they want to?
That's the stunt cast.
Stunt cast.
And a stunt cast in the theater world is pulling someone who's really, really famous, not always famous for theater, but
usually he or she is probably more well known in the film and or television world.
Or a singer.
Yes.
In the case of Adam Lambert, who gets stunt cast all the time now. That's usually what a stunt cast is they pull somebody who's famous for something else and puts them in this role.
So that way people will want to go it because, I get to see so-and-so sing.
Someone that I'm familiar with perform. I'd say like half of the time it's a really good casting. It makes a lot of sense. It's exactly what you want to see. I would never say that someone who's already really well known for theater or has like a well-known history in theater is ever a stunt casting. Like this past revival of Sweeney, I would not count any of that as stunt casting because Josh Groban had already been doing theater. Jordan Fisher is known for theater, and before he was doing Stranger Things, that's what Gaten Matarazzo was doing, was theater. So I would not count that as a stunt cast for any of them. But usually, like, Cabaret is one of those shows that is really famous for stunt casting the MC. This is one, it's more of like an important watch. It's you should see it at least once.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those, unless you really like the musical, just watch it once.
It's also one of those.
This is the only one that this is the only musical or movie in general I've seen of Liza Minnelli. I know she did a lot of them, but like this is like the only one I know of that I saw her in.
Mm-hmm. This, I think, same for me probably. This is what I go to when I think of Liza. Mm-hmm. She's fantastic in it though. Like you can definitely see the family talent in this role. And now for one that's a lot more fun to watch.
Oh, yes.
So next we're going into 2002's Chicago, which I probably watched way too early. I watched this like when it came out. And it has Renee Zellweger playing Roxy Hart, which was surprisingly great for me. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Velma Kelly, who I think should do more musicals. Richard Gere as Billy Flynn, which was really fun. And Taye Diggs as the band leader, which I just need more Taye Diggs in my life. Which this movie follows Roxy Hart as she is put in jail for murdering her lover. Oh, her husband is played by John C. Reilly. That man should also do more musicals.
He really should. Also, doesn't this have Queen Latifah in it?
Yes, she plays Mama Morton.
Yeah. She should be in more musicals.
She should be in more musicals. The woman is amazing. The woman is just... I'll watch almost anything with Queen Latifah in it. Mm-hmm. But Renee Zellweger is thrown in jail for murdering her lover. She's actively cheating on her husband. The lover is played by Dominic West, who is most recently famous for The Crown.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And she is thrown onto the Cook County Jail's murderous row, where she ends up meeting Velma Kelly, who was there for murdering her sister and her husband because her sister and her husband were having an affair. For me, the most iconic song in this is Cell Block Tango.
I think that's the most iconic song for anybody, for the musical in general.
My favorite, though, is Mr. Cellophane.
Oh, yeah. And John C. Reilly does such a good job with that song. Like, when I first saw this, you had introduced this to me, but I've been interested in it, and I had known of Cell Block Tango beforehand, so I wasn't going in completely blind, but I totally didn't know that John C. Reilly was in this, and I had only really seen John C. Reilly in comedies up to this point.
He's fantastic.
So I'm just like,
this.
Really? They had John C. And then he sings. I'm like, what are you doing in comedies? You need to be in musicals.
Don't get us wrong. John C. Reilly is a fantastic comedic actor.
He's great. I mean, like, come on.
But you really feel for him in Mr. Cellophane.
This is like, and I'm going to go on a little tangent here. This is like when watching Shrinking, and you're like, Indiana Jones can do comedy. What if he should have been in Star Wars? He should have been in like the Animal House films and stuff. Anyways, this is kind of one of those things where it's just like this is an actor that's like been pigeonholed in this one genre when they do much better in this whole other genre that you wouldn't even think that they know how to do, but they actually do it very well. So yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones is flawless in this. She makes yes. But this was the first time I remember watching her in a movie and truly, really, really enjoying her. This movie is what made me a fan.
I'm going to say it. Renee Zellweger is kind of the weak link in this entire film.
She is. And it's the vocal performance.
Yeah, everybody outdoes her.
Her moments where she's just straight up acting and not having to sing, she's fantastic. She's great. But singing isn't her strong point. But Catherine Zeta-Jones is fantastic. Richard Gere was surprisingly really good as Billy Flynn. To be fair for Billy Flynn, you don't need to have a perfect voice.
But he has a really good voice.
He's got, like, really charismatic.
Kind of radio type of 1920s radio voice.
This is one of those musicals where, like, every song is iconic, pretty much. On a different level, every song is iconic.
It is. And I like every song. There's not one I'm just like,
there's not a skippable.
Can we skip over this one?
Yeah.
No. Because I like everything. I really like They Both Reach for the Gun.
Yes.
Of course, we already talked about Cell Block Tango and Mr. Cellophane.
Razzle Dazzle.
Razzle Dazzle was great. And Razzle Dazzle is another one that's pretty iconic. So much iconic that Joel Grey sung it in The Muppet Show.
Yes.
And also, with Mama Knows Best?
No, it's When You're Good to Mama.
When You're Good to Mama.
That's
Queen Latifah's song.
And let me tell you, that woman in that scene, absolutely captivating.
Yeah.
This is not a family-friendly show at all.
No.
It's very heavy on the murder. It's very heavy on the sex appeal. The plot line you're following with Roxy and Velma is they're both vying for the attention of Billy Flynn, the defense lawyer, so that they can get off of death row. And unfortunately, the only person in the entire movie who actually gets executed is the only one who is innocent. The whole point of this movie is to highlight the injustices in our justice system. And it gets at a point while keeping you in a good mood.
Also, technically, Renee's... it does show her that she did shoot the dude.
She does kill him.
She did do him. It's not like did she or did not, and they make up the whole story about They Both Reach for the Gun kind of thing. But, like, her story is more defendable, whereas Catherine Zeta-Jones, I was like, yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones' defense is basically, I blacked out and I had no idea what I was doing, basically a tempering insanity defense.
Yeah.
Which was more defensible in the 1920s when this takes place than it is now.
Yeah.
Whereas Renee Zellweger's character was trying to say that he was trying to kill me, so I killed him before he could.
Yeah.
And at first she was trying to blame it on her husband, and he was going to go with it because it's his wife. What else is he supposed to do? Oh, and then there's a whole fake pregnancy plot in it.
Yeah.
Like,
also, in one or two scenes, the weird, the Who that the Grinch has a thing with in the live action Grinch movie. She's a reporter.
She's fantastic.
And, like, that's another character I'm like, wow, you can sing? Holy crap, what are you doing in The Grinch?
And then she does Mamma Mia.
And then she did Mamma Mia. I'm like, okay, see, there you go.
So yeah, this is one of those movies. As long as you're of age and can handle the content, watch it. It is gorgeous.
She says that she just previously said that she watched this at the young age of 9.
To be fair, my parents let me watch things like It and Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street at very young ages.
Culture. It's culture.
It is.
If you think your kid can handle this, I wouldn't mind showing this.
If you wouldn't mind your 5-year-old coming up to you and singing He Had It Coming. Because that's going to be the one that gets stuck in their head.
I would kind of laugh, honestly.
I would too. This is one of my favorites, and it deserved every single award it got. Honestly, it probably deserved more.
This, you want to say how this like kind of brought like a resurgence to movie musicals?
Alright, so
back.
When this came out, it was 2002, and at the time, movie musicals were kind of seen as like box office poison.
Unless you were Disney.
But then it had to be animated.
Right.
Because even Disney wasn't really releasing live-action musicals in theaters. They were being put on TV, which we'll get to one of those in a minute. Mm-hmm. And this was so well done. The production value was so on top of it. Everyone was on their A game. Even though Renee is like the weaker link for this, she's still on her A game this entire movie. This is like my favorite performance she's ever done. It's just she's going up against some really big heavyweights.
Didn't this get nominated?
It got nominated for several Oscars, won several Oscars, or I believe won several Oscars, at least won one. And it kind of started the slow build-up of movie musicals being seen as respectable again. Because we'd start getting things like Moulin Rouge, which was really creative. It's a jukebox musical, but it's really creatively done. We'd get Dreamgirls, which is one of my favorites. I know there's Hairspray.
And we just previously talked about Across the Universe.
Yes.
Not saying that this movie caused all those to be. I'm sure they were already in the pipeline, but it probably sped up the production process to getting them greenlit and everything.
And it opened it up to a new generation. Like, a lot of the girls that I was around growing up brought up the fact, like, the reason they joined choir, or the reason they joined theater was because of movies like Chicago and Hairspray and Dreamgirls. And we probably wouldn't have got the adaptation of Dreamgirls or Hairspray that we got if Chicago hadn't done so well. Because it was kind of seen as looked down on to say, hey, we're going to do a musical. Or for an actress to say, hey, I'm about to do a musical. Especially when they hadn't really done one in their filmography before. So to have one come out and it do that well and it be that, it's a feast for your eyes. It is so fun.
Very, very well done production, design for all. I mean, yeah, everybody talks about Cell Block Tango, but they both reach for the gun with the whole puppet thing going on.
Making her feel like marionette.
And everything. That's great.
When You're Good to Mama being like a whole like burlesque type theater thing. Mm-hmm. Even though it's really pared down, like she's clearly just in the gel. I Can't Do It Alone with Catherine Zeta-Jones literally doing her entire production with her sister without her sister there. Yeah. All of it's done fantastic. And can we talk about Catherine Zeta-Jones' breast support and I Can't Do It Alone? Because that woman was dancing up a storm, hitting high notes, holding long notes, moving around, going a mile a minute. The training it takes to do that, I mean, come on. This whole movie is fantastic. This is like capital M on a billboard musical. Now for another capital M musical from almost 2 decades earlier, we're going to talk about A Chorus Line from 1985. And this one is another about the production of a musical. This one's more about the audition process, where you're going to be following a collection of dancers as they're auditioning to be in a musical being directed by Michael Douglas's Zach. So he is in pretty much the background of most scenes. He doesn't sing. Thankfully, he doesn't sing.
Yeah, we don't want to hear Michael Douglas sing.
But we get to see the rest of the cast, and you get to find out about their lives and their upbringings through the different numbers they're doing in between rounds of auditions. So slowly, as the show is going on, you're losing a couple characters here, a couple characters there, but the ones you're listening to the songs from are usually the ones that end up making it to the end. And they're not trying to become a lead, they're all just trying to be part of the chorus.
Also, there's the one side plot with the one girl that he had a fling with that didn't make it to the for the beginning
The first
auditions, but because they had a fling, she's in there, and
That's the only part of
Yeah.
the only part of it that doesn't really sit well with me. But she does have some good moments.
she has some fine moments. But I'm just like,
Vocally, she's great. But this one has iconic numbers in it. Some of them are not appropriate.
We're still gonna name them though.
Dance 10 Looks 3 is my favorite
I
number.
love it. My favorite is I Can Do That.
Which is great. My second favorite is Nothing, which is just fun. It's about a Hispanic girl talking about how she was told she'd never get anywhere in the theater world by her own teachers.
I like the beginning number.
God, I Hope I Get It.
God, I Hope I Get It.
That is so fun, and it really encapsulates that anxiety of auditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Because, man, I'm telling you, nothing is as nerve-wracking as getting up for the audition. The auditions are more nerve-wracking than the actual opening night.
Also, it's not really that popular nowadays, but the most popular song from this that was used a lot before and after this was
It's one.
One, and yeah, it's popular for reasons. It's just a really good,
It's a really good
snappy,
number.
ear-warming song.
The choreography for this is great. Everything is very 80s in terms of the costuming. Like, the songs themselves aren't very 80s, they're just very theater.
And this was based on like an actual
It's based on an actual stage show.
stage show.
The stage show itself, one of the iconic cast members was Kelly Bishop from
wow.
Gilmore Girls.
Nice.
Well, she's been in a lot of other things, but
Yeah,
one of her
that's
more
what her
iconic
most
roles
known
is
was.
Gilmore Girls.
I just always find it funny that, not really funny, just like kind of interesting, because I'm like, I'm not sure, but like, it really seems like Jim Henson probably liked this musical because
he used a lot from it.
especially in Muppets Take Manhattan, like the opening, no, not the opening, I think it's like the opening number, Together Again, has them in the same like gold suits
Yeah.
that everybody ends up wearing at the end of the musical.
And for those who don't know, the song One is after the people who make it into the chorus line find out they're in there, and they're officially in rehearsals. So they're at dress rehearsals now, they're in their official costumes for the show. So that is how the show ends up ending, is you find out who makes it.
Yeah.
And it is really satisfying to see the characters that you've been watching go through this whole process of auditioning either make it or not.
But it is kind of funny that they're literally just auditioning for, because it pans out at the ending, this small little bit of like hundreds of other people that are already, and so it's just like they're not even really gonna, unfortunately, stand out because they're just the ensemble.
Yeah, but a lot of it is you have to start somewhere.
Oh no, yeah,
So
you have to. I get it, and I get what the movie's trying to say and stuff. But also, just like it is interesting. You know, it's always interesting. Where it's like, you think that they're going through all this, like multiple, all in like a day though, of like getting cut and auditioning to the next level, just for this one small. And which maybe, I mean, that is how it works still today, I think.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, the audition process for anything is grueling.
Yeah.
And it can tear you down, but you have to keep going if that's something that you really want. And that's one thing this show gets across very well. So yeah, it's a fun watch, but it's also kind of an educational watch. Okay, so next is the 1957 TV version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Julie Andrews as Cinderella. And it's just Cinderella. The plotline, it's just Cinderella.
And we had talked about this musical itself back when we did our Disney films, because we did the Wonderful World of Disney's version of this musical starring...
Brandy and Whoopi Goldberg, Whitney Houston.
Yeah. This is that musical. This is just the 1950s version starring Julie Andrews, who originated this version of it. Do we know?
I believe so. Like, this one I don't think went to Broadway until pretty recently.
Oh, okay.
It was like just made for TV movie versions.
Oh,
So it was this and the Brandy Cinderella, but the Brandy Cinderella is one that made it really popular
Mm-hmm.
because
I'm
all
surprised
got
this
attached to
wasn't
it.
because it's Roger and Hammerstein. I'm surprised.
yeah, not every one of theirs made it to Broadway.
Oh,
Um,
the more you know.
yeah. At least from what I know, the only Broadway version of the soundtrack I can find is the one from about 10-ish years ago with the guy who voices Hans from Frozen playing the prince.
Oh, okay. I will say this, because I was introduced to the Brandy version first. It's really interesting hearing a lot of these songs and like knowing this is the 1950s, but because they're those songs, they sound
More modern.
They're really modern songs for the 1950s.
They really are.
Like this, like all the songs that you know from that musical, the Disney one, they're in this. There's just and it's the same comedic beats and everything, and it's just like I feel like this was. I'm sure they weren't. I'm sure this just kind of, was the type of the time, but it does kind of feel ahead of its time in both song and comedy. There, that's just my take on it. There, you any thoughts on that?
I mean, nothing going forward, but that's kind of typical with Rodgers and Hammerstein. Their songs are really timeless. Because I know you're not a huge fan of Carousel, but, Carousel's got, June's Busting Out All Over and You'll Never Walk Alone. You'll Never Walk Alone gets played a lot in churches.
And they got a little, was it Chip a Little, Chopped a Little, Cheap a Little, Cheap?
Yeah. And then you've got Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
You've got, as much as it's not one of my favorites, Sound of Music.
Mm-hmm.
You've got South Pacific.
Yep.
A lot of their shows are just completely timeless and can be done over and over and over again. It's one of the best things about them. That's why they're Rodgers and Hammerstein. I think they're your favorite of the Broadway composers.
Of the classical ones, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Last one for today is another Cinderella. This is the 2021 Amazon Cinderella, starring Camila Cabello, Billy Porter, Nicholas Galtazine, Idina Menzel again. You're going to see a lot of Idina over these next few videos. Pierce Brosnan, who should never sing but keeps insisting on doing it, and Minnie Driver, who should just never stop singing. And unfortunately, James Corden, but this is the only time he's entertaining. Because he's a mouse.
Yeah.
This is, again, the classic Cinderella story. The twist on this one is that this Cinderella wants to be a dressmaker, and she's really talented at it.
Also, Idina Menzel's
More sympathetic.
more sympathetic.
She has more of a reason to be as harsh as she is, and it's because she doesn't trust men instead of just not liking her stepdaughter.
Also, this is a jukebox musical.
It is. This is a jukebox musical using primarily 80s and 90s songs.
I know some of the songs are What a Man,
What a Man,
and
Someone to Love.
Someone to Love, Rhythm Nation.
Yes, the Rhythm Nation number
That's
is really
such
fun.
a good number.
Pierce Brosnan luckily only sings like once or twice in the entire thing, and one, he is meant to look ridiculous.
And sing ridiculous because he's
Trying to win his wife's trust back.
Trust back, yeah. It's not like in Mamma Mia where they're like, he can sing, and everybody's like, no, he can't.
Billy Porter as the fabulous godmother was an adorable pick. I enjoy Billy Porter, and he can do no wrong in my books.
Have I seen Billy Porter in anything else?
No, he's more famous in the theater world.
Oh, okay.
And Camila Cabello is a pretty engaging Cinderella. She doesn't... for me, she's kind of like a cross between the classic Cinderella and, like, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, where she's not going to take anybody's crap, really, but she's still going to try and do the best job she can. So it just makes the show really, really fun. I think the most modern song in this is, I believe they do a cover of Ed Sheeran's Perfect.
I believe you're right.
Because that's the moment between Cinderella and Prince Robert. And the difference in this one with the prince is usually the prince is kind of a nothing character. You don't really get any real personality off of him. He's just a handsome prince. Even in the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, he's there to be a person for Cinderella to fall in love with.
To be fair, that's just him in the story, and
Yeah.
and then the original
he has
grim.
more he has more agency in this. Like, he doesn't want to rule. He doesn't really want to be a prince. He wants to go off and do his own thing. So how this one ends is, instead of them like getting married and getting ready to rule the kingdom, is they run off together. He leaves his life as a prince, and his sister becomes the heir.
That's right.
And the sister is a badass. I
It's
love her.
Tallulah Grieve, which I don't think I've seen her anything in before or since.
Yeah.
But she does a great job.
She did a great job. And this is one of those really fun ones. I know a lot of people crapped on it when it came out, but I enjoyed it.
Oh, me too.
This is one of the like fun. I showed this to our nephews. Just
To be fair, that's with like a lot of jukebox musicals. If they're not based off of one specific artist, they're just
Yeah.
like, let's just pull in a bunch of songs and make a movie using these songs. A lot of people really don't like those, and I don't know why. I
because
guess it's
they're
like,
fun.
but they really are. They are the popcorn movie of
And
the musical
sometimes you
world.
just need a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with something that's just fun for the sake of fun. And this one still actually had something to say. This one still had, points to make about, one, not giving up on your dreams, not letting your family control you, and coming from two different sides of it. Coming from, like, a really, really well-off side where they're trying to, make you rise to the occasion, and coming from a side where they're just trying to protect you from the world and keep you from making the mistakes they made, which is how Idina Menzel's Vivian sees herself, is she made the mistake of getting married. So she wants to marry off her daughters because she knows that they don't really have any real potential, and the only way they're going to make any way for themselves in life is through marriage. But she knows that Cinderella has this talent and has this potential, so she doesn't want her running off and getting married. She wants her to just focus on what she's good at. So she's hard on her for it, and that is how some mothers actually treat their daughters.
And that's going to be it for this month's episode. If you enjoyed listening to us talk to each other and to you about our thoughts on these musicals, let us know down below. Like and subscribe for future videos. I didn't mention at the beginning, but we do these at the end of every month, and we have a lot of musicals, so we are going to be doing these for a while. So if you enjoy musicals or just listening to our thoughts on them, especially Shelby's, because I'm not going to go into a lot of tangents like I did on August Rush here. That's just one of a couple of films.
He has a few that he'll go on tangents on. Weirdly enough, 3 of them are all in the M's.
But yeah, until next time, thank you and have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.